There's a conversation about leadership that we really need to have, especially here in a city like Dubai that moves so fast. It's not about the latest business strategy or hitting quarterly targets. It's about something much more fundamental. And at Pratimoksha, that's exactly where we start.
This quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It's this unspoken truth that we see every single day with the senior professionals we work with. It's like the unwritten rule of corporate life. The more responsibility you carry, the less permission you feel you have to actually recover. And that's really the heart of the problem. It isn't that anyone is intentionally ignoring their well-being. It's a cultural blind spot. There's this quiet understanding that the people carrying the absolute heaviest loads are somehow, exempt from the very wellness practices their own companies are promoting.
Okay, so what is the real cost of all this pressure? We're not just talking about everyday stress here. This is about that unique, relentless weight of sustained responsibility that only comes with being at the top. And you have to understand, the leadership context here in Dubai is something else. The pace, the scale of ambition, it's off the charts. You're often operating far away from family and your usual support systems. You're managing these incredibly diverse teams. It all comes together to compound that pressure in some really specific and, frankly, challenging ways.
And here is the absolute crucial point. This isn't just about feeling tired or emotionally drained. No, this sustained pressure has a direct physiological consequence. It actually starts to degrade the one tool you rely on for everything, your mind.
Let's look at the science for a second. That chronic stress directly impairs your prefrontal cortex. Now just stop and think about that. The very part of your brain you need for strategic thinking, for making clear-headed decisions, for regulating your impulses, the pressure of your role is actively damaging its ability to function.
So this brings up a really big question, right? If the cost is so incredibly high, why do so few leaders actually have a structured practice for recovering their nervous system? What's behind all that resistance?
Oh, we hear these reasons all the time in our studio. And we get it. We really do. I just don't have the time. Yoga's not really for me. I'm managing fine. But the one we hear the most is, I'll do it when things slow down. But here's the thing about Dubai. Things don't slow down. That season never comes, so the cost is real, and you're paying it right now.
And this isn't just a personal problem, it never is. It has a huge organizational toll. See, a leader's internal state, it basically sets the weather for the whole company. If you have a culture of constant pressure and reactivity, it's almost always a direct reflection of what's going on inside the people at the top. Okay, so let's completely reframe this conversation. This isn't about escaping pressure. It's about building the capacity to handle it, and handle it well. We have to start looking at yoga not just as wellness, but as a serious performance discipline. So at Pratimoksha, our teaching is laser-focused on developing these 4 very specific capabilities. It's learning to watch your own mental state without getting swept away by it. It's mastering the ability to literally shift your physiology to find clarity. And maybe, most importantly, it's about building rhythms that are actually sustainable for the long haul.
And let's be absolutely crystal clear here. These are not vague wellness outcomes. We're talking about practical, measurable improvements in your performance. This is about a hard return on the investment of your time and your attention. Our founder, Lalitha Viswanath, sees this happen all the time in her work, and she puts it perfectly. The goal isn't to soften leaders, it's to sharpen them in a way that just enduring pressure can never, ever do. It's about building a completely different kind of resilience. So you might be wondering where this fits in with all the other leadership development stuff out there. Well, we see this as a completely different and, frankly, far more fundamental kind of investment. Think about it. Companies spend a fortune on coaching, on strategy offsites, on executive MBAs, and all of that is valuable for sure. But they almost always miss the most foundational piece of the puzzle, the neurological health of the leader, which is quietly being eroded by all that constant pressure. When it comes right down to it, building this kind of practice into your week, making it a non-negotiable, is one of the most direct and powerful investments you can possibly make in your own effectiveness. You're protecting and enhancing your single greatest professional asset, your mind. And that's exactly why we've designed our program specifically for the constraints that come with senior roles. Whether it's a private one-on-one program that's built around your unique schedule, or dedicated sessions for an entire leadership team, the work is always calibrated to be both incredibly efficient and deeply effective. In our experience, it only takes a few weeks of consistent practice before the whole question flips. It stops being, do I really have time for this? And it becomes, wow, how did I ever manage without this? So the final thought I'll leave you with is this. How long have you been just managing?